Good morning, everybody. Hope you are doing well. With that, we'll start with our session. So, some of you, I think Shantana Lakshmi is there, Bhavani. We have Mahesh and from MG Road. Very good morning of Bhavani. Very good morning, Mahesh, Pallavi. So, let me talk about something about the chapters which we are going to discuss. See, last class we have discussed about the transactions. Last class we have discussed about implementing the transaction and concurrency, how we have to do that. We have been discussed. In case of your Hibernate, how to implement the transaction and concurrency, that we have been discussed now. We have also started yesterday only the discussion of overview of the Spring, how we can implement the Spring, what is the architecture of the Spring applications and all that we have been discussed also, and some of the components of the Spring also what we have seen. Now today we are going to discuss about more on the overview of the Spring, and we will also talk about how we can implement the dependency injection services and integrating the Spring with the web layer, and AOP, how to implement aspect oriented programming, which we want to implement, how do I implement that. So these are the few things what we are going to discuss in case of your Spring based application, how to implement that we are going to discuss also. So let us will see that how we can build this type of your Spring based framework, how to implement this. These are the few things what we will see now. So now one by one we are going to discuss about that. How to implement these all the things. That we are going to discuss also. Let me start with that. Few about this. So I think let us we'll talk about a few things what we have left out also. We have also discussed about the architecture of Spring also. Let me. So feature of the Spring we have seen, that is yesterday we have discussed about the feature of the Spring, where we are talking about the pluggability. They are the feature, one of the feature of the Spring. We have dependency injection services. We have aspect oriented programming is also one of the services. And then we have container based architecture also we have, and we have lightweight component. Spring is a lightweight component that we have been seeing. These are the few of the things what we have as a feature of the Spring what we have been discussed. So pluggability, dependency injection services, then aspect oriented programming, then we have container and lightweight. Now the next thing which we are going to discuss, that is we will talk about the components or the various components within your MVC architecture that is in a Spring, how it will be there, that we have to see. So when we talk about the Spring based architecture, the Spring framework architecture, you can see that there are 7 different components, mostly which will be coming under. So that is nothing but we have started also discussing about this. That is about your core module. We have application context module. We have data access module. We have ORM module. We have AOP module. We have web context module. We have web MVC module. Like that, we have 7 different modules which you generally find also. So each module we are talking about in detail now. A brief discussion about also we are going to discuss now, and then we will see also how we can implement these modules in our Spring based programs. When we are implementing, how do we do that? That's we are going to discuss also. So in a Spring-based framework, we have, you can see that, okay, the 7 different modules, whatever we have, all that particular modules are based on the core module. This is my core module. Okay, on this core module only, we have all the modules are, okay, fit on the all that, okay, in the core module itself. Now I have on that, okay, we have, you can see that, okay, there is an AOP module, we have DAO module, we have something called as application module, we have MVC module. These are the different type of your modules generally which you can find. And on DAO module, we have ORM module which will sit on, and application module based on that, okay, web context module which is dependence on. So these are all the different type of your modules generally which you can find in case of your Spring-based framework when we are talking about it. Now coming to the core module. When I'm talking about the core module, let us will see that, okay, what is this core module is all about and how we can implement this core module. Okay, that's we are going to discuss now. Core module which will provide the fundamental functionality of the Spring framework. That is the basic objective of your core module. It will provide the fundamental functionality of the Spring framework. And this will contain the most important component of the Spring framework, the Bean factory container. Okay, so this is also what it will be contained. And to implement the core module within our web application, we need to use org.springframework.core is the package which you need to use. So you will see that, okay, most of the Spring applications, okay, their packages, okay, which are started with org.springframework is the package which we are talking about. And obviously, okay, core module will have .core package. So then we have AOP package, then we can have web package like that. Okay, we have different other package, but every one are started with org.springframework is the package where it has been started with. Then we have DAO module which I are talking about. DAO module which is a standardizing data access, okay, work, the technologies such as your JDBC and all. If you want to implement, then we can go for the DAO module. This will enable us to write a simple database code without worrying about the task like opening and closing the database connections. All these are the things which will be taken care by the DAO module itself. And DAO provides an exception hierarchy for managing database connections and all, handling exceptions. All these are the things which will be taken care by the DAO module. And it is there in the org.springframework.dao package will contain that all element. So these are the few things what we have been discussed, okay, in the last class. And today we are going to discuss about the other modules that is started with your ORM module. How we can go for your ORM module, web context module, then we have application module and MVC module which is there. These are the few modules which we are going to discuss in our Spring-based framework, how it is there that we are going to discuss now. Let us see that. Let us will implement this. Now starting with the ORM module. And the ORM module, it is based on the, okay, ORM tools which will be integrating with your ORM tools such as Hibernate. We can implement here JDO or iBatis. All these are the different type of your ORM tools which are there. So we can use this ORM tool to implement it. So that is how you can use the ORM module is all this. And it is built upon the DAO module, provides an easy way to build DAO from ORM tools as required by the application. And this is implemented by using org.springframework.orm package. This is what it will be implemented. Read it to this. This is the package which you are going to use. And you can see that, okay, this DAO built upon, okay, the DAO module. Okay, ORM module is based on the DAO module only. So this is what we need to remember. Then we have AOP module. In AOP module, what is the AOP module we have discussed? I think already we have discussed a few things in AOP module. What is AOP is all about? I want everyone to respond. it is about the keeping the functionality of different modules separate to each other. Rather, you can say, Pallavi, there is not only that, okay, different module in the sense it is not database module or anything. So we need to tell that word. That is cross-cutting concerns module. Or what we say that as a aspect. Okay, cross-cutting concern modules. That has to be separated from the main business applications. That is, okay, logging, security services, okay, so transactions, okay, all that are the different features, the cross-cutting concerns, which will be in a separate module. That we can cover, right? All right, very nice. Okay, so fine. So these are all the few things what we can talk about, and this will support the loose coupling of the application object. This will enable you to separate the application logic from the system level services called as cross-cutting concerns. Okay, so these are the few things what we talk about your AOP module. And yes, at the same time, okay, you can apply the enterprise services in your application with the help of XML configuration files and all. If you want to make, okay, you can implement that. You can use this AOP module by using org.springframework.aop package, okay, which you need to use. And using this AOP package, we can create our based on the AOP module which we can create. See, these are the few things which you need to remember. AOP module will support loose coupling, and they are separating the application logic from the system level services, which is called your cross-cutting concerns. So separating the cross-cutting concern, loose coupling, okay, the declarative, that is XML configuration file, and implemented in the AOP package. So these are the few things which we can be remembered here. Okay, as part of our FACTs, okay, these are the few things which will give in which part of the module, okay, Spring Framework will separate the cross-cutting concerns from the main business application. Is it AOP module, DO module, or maybe the web context module, or maybe say something like your core module. These are the type of your questions which will be asked. So we need to remember that, okay, what is that, okay, which particular module where we are separating the cross-cutting concerns from the main business module and all. So that are the few things what we can talk about. Then coming back to the MVC module, okay, so this will provide the flexible MVC implementation in our program. We can separate the model from the application business logic which we are implementing. The concept of loose coupling by segregating the UI from the application logic. And you can see that, okay, this will enable you to integrate other MVC frameworks such as Struts, WebWorks, Tapestry. Okay, so all these are JSF. Okay, all these are the different MVC frameworks which are there also. These are all the MVC frameworks you can integrate also. You can integrate all these frameworks to this particular feature. And we can implement org.springframework.web package, which we can implement to create your MVC based module. If I want to create, I can also create that. That is the best part in our, okay, MVC module. So this will separate the model and the application logic. So that means whatever the application logic, which is the UI designing and all, from that, okay, the model component, that is the business logic, whatever we have, so it will be separated. So this is what we can do in your MVC module. So these are the few things what we can talk about. Okay, like we have MVC module, okay, we have AOP module which we have seen, we have discussed about ORM module, we have discussed about DO module, we have discussed about core module. These are all the different kind of your modules, okay, generally which we can get in the case of your Spring Framework. Now we'll talk about the application context module. So if you remember that, okay, in the 7 different modules which we are talking about, in that, okay, we have something called as application. That is, your application module is also one of the module which we are talking about. Now what that application module will tell us about, okay, we'll talk about that actually. So this is, if you see, we have discussed about till now, okay, we have discussed about core, we have discussed about AOP, we have discussed about ORM, we have discussed about DO module also we have seen, we have discussed about the web module also we have been discussed. These are the modules, and each module in which package it will be there, and the functionality of each particular package also what we have been discussed also. Now we are going to discuss about the very important module, that is nothing but your application module. Okay, so this module, what it will do, what is the functionality of this module, let us will talk about that. Now, application context module. When I'm talking about the application context module, this is built on top of the core module. So that is what you see, that okay, on core module, the application context module which will be there, and this will gives you the ability to obtain application resources from the application objects through the consistent Spring API. And this is built upon the concept of the bean factory. So remember that this is built upon the core concept of the bean factory, and this provides the support for internationalization of the messages, application lifecycle events, and validations. If we want to be implemented, then we can use the application context module can be implemented on that. So see that, okay, what are the features which application context module which are being provided also. It gives you internationalization messages, application lifecycle events also it will take care, and events validations also will be taken care. And this gives you various enterprise level services like JNDI access, we have easy integrations, we have email, we have remoting, we have scheduling. All these are the different type of your enterprise level services also can be possible. Alright, any questions? Any questions? I want everyone to go through. Any questions here? And it will be available in your org.springframework.context package, which will be there, where we can use this application context module classes and the interfaces which are available, and using this we can do the internationalization messages, application lifecycle event, and validations kind of things. If you want to implement, we can go for this Spring module and we can implement this also. This will gives the services, JNDI access, EZB integration, email, remoting, scheduling. All these are the features are provided by your Spring application context module. And this will also support, these are the two things what you need to remember. Provide support for internationalized messages, application lifecycle event, and validation. And in which package it is available? org.springframework.context is the package where we can have the application context modules, classes, and interfaces which are available for us. Coming to the web context module. Web context module, it is nothing but built on top of the application context module. So this is what we need to know. And basically to create a web-based application, if I want to create, then we can do. And this is a part of the development stack, includes the MVC module, and which is available in your org.springframework.web package. See to this, okay, these are the some few points which you need to know about your web context module built on top of the application context module. This is one point which you need to remember. And this will support the integration of Spring Framework with various frameworks like Struts, WebWorks, and JSF. These kind of your modules can also be integrated in this particular web context module also. So these are the few points which we need to remember as part of your the Spring architecture. When we see the 7 modules which you need to remember, each module their work, and each module their package also which we need to remember also. That are the few things what we can talk about as part of our Spring modules also. Any questions? I want everyone to respond quickly. Okay. Any other things? Okay. So these are the few things what we have been discussed in the Spring architecture. When I'm talking about the Spring architecture, we have been discussed about these particular points. Now we'll be moving to the other things, that is how we can implement the Spring-based objects, application objects, how to implement. That are the few things what we are going to discuss also. So this is all about the chapter 1, okay, which we can talk about. Okay, in the chapter 1, we have been discussed about the mainly the features about the Spring and the architecture about the Spring, which we have been discussed here. So now what we need to do is, okay, we need to start the next part, that is nothing but your application object, implementing the application object or managing the application object, that we are going to discuss also. So let us see what is exactly the application objects and how we are going to implement. Traditionally, the J2E methods, how we used to implement. Till now, whatever we have been discussed, that is nothing but your all what we have been discussed in the chapter 1. Okay, so chapter 1 of your Spring framework we have finished here. You can just see this. The overview of the Spring. So in overview of the Spring, okay, we have been discussed about the various features of the Springs also we have seen, and the architecture in the 7 modules also what we have been discussed in the overview of the Spring. Then okay, there is no practical okay much, but only one practical is there. There is nothing but creating a sample Spring based application, that we are going to see now. Now the next chapter, that is nothing but you are implementing the dependency injection services. So this is what I am going to show you now. Okay, implementing the dependency injection services and how we can implement the dependency injection services in our program, that we are going to discuss also. So that is in the chapter 2 which is there. So yesterday we are talking about something about the dependency injection services, but we will be moving more on the dependency injection services and how that okay, we can use the dependency injection services in our program, that we are going to discuss also. Let us will start with that. So we need to concentrate on this. So before we go for the chapter 2, so first we'll create a sample Spring-based application. I will just create, so that okay we can have an idea that okay how the Spring-based application it is being executed and all. So let us see a sample code about or sample application with your Spring. So So let me start creating a sample Spring-based application in our program. Let us see, we'll do that. So file will go for the new project, and we'll go for the Java web application which we can create. We can go for the new. Here I'll say that okay, Spring Spring chapter 1. That's I want to implement actually. Okay, Spring chapter 1. There's a very simple module which I want to create here. GlassFish server 4.1 I'm using. And you can see that, okay, there is Spring Web MVC which you are using, and we need to use the Spring library. And you could see that, okay, Spring Framework 4.1 which we are using by default, and that is Spring 4 we are learning now. Configuration, you can see that, okay, that by default the dispatcher name of your Spring application, it will be dispatcher, is the Spring application, the dispatcher's name. And by default the dispatcher mapping, it will be star.htm, that is any kind of your HTML with this extension if it is there. Then the dispatcher, it is going to dispatch that request accordingly, whatever your application will say. Okay, the configuration file will say. And once we have set with the Spring Web MVC, the framework when we have been added, then okay, once we have set the libraries and everything, okay, then we have to say finish. That's it. By which, okay, a Spring based application which will be gets created for you in your applications. Okay, in your project, we can see the project will be added with your Spring based classes and all. We can be implementing that. See, we have Spring chapter 1 which is there. Now in the Spring chapter 1, okay, we have certain modules which we need to see over here, and that we have something called as web pages. So in the web pages, we have something called as redirect.jsp is the file which will be there. And there are certain libraries files which has been added. You can see that, okay, there are number of jar files which will be added. These are the jar files which will be added. Apache.common, logging.jar, okay, Spring AOP aspect, bean, okay, context support core. Okay, so all these are the different type of your jar file which will be added because we are using the Spring Framework 4.0.1. Hence, okay, that particular version jar files which will be gets added into the Spring based framework. Is it clear now for everyone? Any question? So how to create a sample like a Spring based application? Is it clear now? Now once we have created this Spring based application, okay, so now next what we need to do is we can create an application, okay, using your Spring, and you'll see that, okay, in a web INF, okay, there are different type of your files which will be added when you are implementing the Spring. We'll have something called as application context module, dispatcher servlet module, GlassFish web.xml module, and web.xml module. These are the 4 modules which will be added in case of your web pages. Now coming to the JSP pages, we have index.jsp page which will be available, and we can use this index.jsp page also. So these are all the different kind of your modules, okay, which we can be implemented as part of your Spring chapter 1 your application when you are creating. So these are all the some of the pages which will be there. Now what I'm going to do over here, that is nothing but, okay, so web.xml file. If you open this web.xml file, okay, please see to this web.xml file, you will be something called as, okay, everyone knows like welcome file list which will be there. This is the first page which will be executed. In our case, the redirect.jsp page, which is the first page which will be executed. That is the first thing which we can talk about. And obviously I have written the redirect.jsp page, and in the redirect.jsp page, okay, I am loading or redirecting the page to the index.jsp page actually. So if you see that, okay, there is something called as one servlet which will be loaded. Okay, that is nothing but your servlet. There are servlet and servlet mapping which is there. You could see that, okay, this is here in this case I have okay, dispatcher org.springframework.web.servlet.dispatcher servlet, and dispatcher servlet here in our case, okay, will work as the, okay, first the front controller type in case of your JSF, how we are talking about. Similarly here the dispatcher servlet is the one, okay, which will be executed whenever, okay, any kind of your request of type.html it will come. because in the mapping file I said that okay, URL patterns is .htm. If .htm type of your extension, if anyone is requesting, in that case, okay, this has to go to the dispatcher servlet. This is what we can say. All right, now. So if you see that okay, any kind of your request when it will come, say it is saying star.htm is the page. Okay, that means any extension start with .htm. You can say any extension with star with .htm. I will say. Okay, will move to the dispatcher servlet. Okay, we'll move to the dispatcher servlet. So this is what your dispatcher servlet. Okay, this is what your dispatcher servlet is all about. Okay, so whenever any extension which is star.htm, that means okay, .htm extension will come. Then okay, the dispatcher servlet, the request goes to the dispatcher servlet. Okay, the request goes to the dispatcher servlet, and okay, now the dispatcher servlet will execute where exactly it has to go and all. So this request dispatcher servlet, remember that okay, it will use a file called as application context.xml file. Application context.xml file which will be containing. This is what it is going to use, the application context.xml file which will be loaded, and this will tell us that okay, where it has to go. Okay, so that is what exactly. So that is already being defined in the application context module. So first we are getting redirect.jsp page. Remember that okay, it will be first page which will be redirect.jsp page. Whenever in the redirect.jsp page, okay, it will be loaded. The response.redirect page, okay, what it will do, it will load index.htm, so that extension, okay, it will call the dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet, okay, it will take the application context module, and application context module will specify that okay, this request with this xyz.htm or any .htm, where which page it has to go, that it will be talked in your application context.xml file is all about. Is it clear now? Any questions? Any questions now? First welcome file is this. Okay, this is what your welcome file. This is my welcome file. Any questions? Application context.xml file is a built-in file where we will write that okay, where exactly the controllers and every information which will be contained in the application context.xml file actually. This is also a file. In web.xml, it will contain these particular code. Okay, so if you see that okay, in your web.xml, These are the code what it will be containing. Okay, this is the code what it is containing in your web.xml file. So in your web.xml, this is my web.xml file we can talk about. Okay, web.xml file. In your web.xml file, if you see this, okay, so we have session file, and this is my servlet mapping file. In the servlet mapping file, this is what it says. Okay, any extension with .htm if it is coming, then okay, it will go through the dispatcher, then it will call the dispatcher name. In turn, the dispatcher name will call the dispatcher servlet actually. So that is exactly what we are implementing, okay, as part of your servlet is all about. Okay, and this dispatcher servlet will use the context. Okay, you can see that. Okay, this is the file which is going to be used by this. Your application context.xml file, which is there in the webinf/application context.xml file, that it will be contained by the dispatcher servlet actually. So that is what you are saying. And in the application context file, the different controller information and all, okay, it will be stored in that particular file itself. Okay, application context file will contain that particular information. Okay, so that is why from the redirect.jsp file, you'll see that, okay, from the redirect.jsp file, so it will move to the index.jsp page. But how it is moving in your redirect.jsp page when it will be loaded, first time, okay, response.redirect it will be called with star.htm, that is, okay, index.htm it will call, and index.htm file, okay, in your application context module, it will take the controller information and it will try to call index.jsp file itself. So that is way how exactly it is going to call in your file as part of your Spring based application itself. Now you may say that, okay, what is this is all about? Because, okay, you want, okay, the index.jsp page. Before that, okay, if you want to execute any kind of your applications or anything, if you want to execute, you can execute that. But by default, this is the way how the application will execute. Is that clear now? Now the second file which will be there, that is nothing but your application context file. As I told you that, okay, the application context file is this, where the bean information and all, okay, which will be containing on this. Next we have something, the file that is called your dispatcher servlet.xml file, which will be containing, and in this dispatcher servlet.xml file, okay, this is what your dispatcher servlet.xml. So do not think that, okay, this dispatcher servlet which we have just now discussed and this dispatcher -servlet.xml file is same. This is a servlet, but that is a simple XML file which will contain the controller information and all. And whenever we are getting that, okay, so star.htm, and whenever we are getting, so when you are trying to call index.htm, first it will call your parameterizable view controller, and we'll use, and we can prefix the index, and then, okay, we are going to call that. So this is what your index, okay, controller which you are using, these all the things. So the bean ID is URL mapping and simple URL handler mapping class which will be executed, and if the property key is index.htm, then, okay, it will try to call index controller, and in index controller it will take the view name as index, and then, okay, it will go to the view resolver, and in the view resolver it will take webinf/jsp with .jsp extension. So index.jsp, so that's what you can get the index.jsp page, you can get it from here. So this is the, okay, your dispatcher servlet.xml file which will contain the information how exactly the redirect.jsp page will load, and we can get the index.jsp page. If you see that, okay, this is the first page, index, the redirect.jsp page which is there. Here is written views should be stored under the webinf folder so that they are not accessible except through the controller process. Okay, see that every view whatever you are creating, compulsory they have to be kept in the webinf folder, so that, okay, anyone cannot able to access this particular page without a controller process. In the controller process, we can write the code of security related or logging or the transaction related everything we can write in the controller process. Hence we are writing like this particular code. You can directly go from one page to another page, but however, in that case, okay, security cannot be implemented. But this way, if you are doing, then the security can be implemented in our applications also. So that is the beauty of your Spring-based application we are saying. So this is a JSP here to provide redirect to the dispatcher servlet, but okay, should be only JSP outside the WebINF folder. This is what the small information about the page which are being given over here. Now what happens, okay, whenever that redirect.jsp page, because this is the first page when it will be loaded, what it exactly goes to? Response.send redirect to which page? Index.htm page it will go. So index.htm page when it will go, so which one will be executed? Dispatcher servlet.xml file it will be called, and in that, okay, URL mapping when you are doing, it will see that, okay, is it index.htm, then index controller please call. Now index controller when it will call, where it will go? It will go to the index controller bean, and in the index controller bean, the view name will be index. Now whenever the controller, the view, what it will be called? So the view, it will be called through the view resolver. So the view resolver, okay, it will say that, okay, the whatever the view name it is there, okay, please prefix with WebINF and please suffix with .jsp page. So hence which particular page it has to be loaded? Index.jsp page need to be loaded for this. So if you see that, okay, that is one page when it is comes, okay, these are the controller and the view resolver which are already available in your dispatcher-servlet.xml file, and this will tells us that, okay, where exactly or which view it has to be displayed, that you can talk about. Now when I'm running this particular program, you'll see that, okay, the page which will be loaded, that is nothing but your index.jsp page which will be loaded, and this is the page that you can see also. Hello, this is the default welcome page for the Spring MVC project, and these are all the, okay, whatever. Dispatcher servlet.xml file will contain for every particular the URL. So you will have an URL mapping, and we'll have a indexer control. Okay, that is called your controller. Okay, it can be anything, and then we have a view resolver. For this, okay, that information what it will be contained in your dispatcher-servlet.xml file will contain that information. So which view it has to be displayed and all, that we can know, or that we can know through this, okay, dispatcher-servlet.xml file. So you can see that, okay, this is the page which will be displayed here. Okay, hello, this is the default welcome page for a Spring Web MVC project which will go through. So to display different welcome page for this project, modify the index.jsp page. So if you want to change the index.jsp page, you can change that particular page. And if you want to redirection, okay, you can change also in the redirection.jsp page, whichever the page which we want to load, you can load that. Okay, so that is a few things which we can do as part of this particular page. This is what we said first. Let us see that, okay, this will come from the first, as you know that, okay, whenever the application will be loaded, you will be starting from the web.xml file. Now web.xml file, first welcome file, it will give you, that is nothing but your redirect.jsp page. Now in the redirect.jsp page, it is, okay, doing response.send redirect page, okay, that is to the index.htm. You have written that, if you remember. You have written response.send redirect is the method, and we are saying index.htm is the page, okay, which we are getting. Okay, index.htm page which you are getting. So whenever you are loading this response.send redirect index.htm, then obviously again the request will come. Okay, so the request, what it will go for, the request again it will be generated. First it will be loaded, but when, okay, it is loading the response.send redirect, that means again a request is goes. So obviously what it will happen, the dispatcher, okay, servlet will be gets called, because any request first it will go to the dispatcher servlet. Now dispatcher servlet with this index.htm, whatever it will be there, so that will go to the dispatcher servlet.xml file. So okay, it will go to that, okay, dispatcher servlet.xml file, it will go. In the dispatcher servlet.xml file, it will go to the proper URL mapping. Okay, so you'll go to the URL mapping, and in the URL mapping, okay, it will check that, okay, if the property key is index.htm, that means, okay, if the request will come with the index.htm and it is comes from an index.htm only, the request, because the response.send redirect, when you are calling, it will goes to the index.htm file. So if the URL is index.htm, then what it says, index controller, okay, it will be called. Now this index controller, it will be gets called, okay, so in the index controller, what we have done, okay, in this index controller, we said that, okay, it will be started with a start.jsp page, it will be suffix and /webinf, okay, no, this is what index controller will say that, okay, .htm will go to the .jsp page. Now from this index controller, it will go to the view resolver. Okay, so this is your view resolver, it will come. Now in the view resolver, what we have done, so this is says that, okay, it has to be started with end with a .htm, whatever the file index or anything, and it has to be suffixed with the path, whatever the path it is there. Now this particular file, it will be loaded. Now it is not .htm file, okay, it will be loaded with your .jsp page, it will be loaded, because it is suffixed with JSP and prefix with a path. Now which page it will be loaded, that is nothing but your index.jsp page, which will be gets loaded from this. This is what exactly will, okay, the flow of the application, how it will come. Is that clear now? Any questions? Pallavi, Shivani and Pavitra, I think this is what your question. Can you please acknowledge by typing? Any other questions? Alright then, this is all the few things what we can talk about as part of your application, okay, is all about and how it will run. That we have been discussed. Yes, Pavitra. Yes, Pavitra, this is what, okay, the first page which will be there, as I told you that, okay, it is web.xml file. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. No, you're not audible.
No, sir.
Yes, you are audible now. Now see, this is our first welcome file list. Okay, in that redirect.jsp page will be loaded. Okay?
Okay.
As we know,
Yeah.
this is the common. Okay, welcome .xml, web.xml file. The redirect.jsp page will be loaded. And the redirect.jsp page, what is the code it has been written, you see. What we have written? Response.send redirect index.htm it has written. You can see that, okay, this is index.htm. That means the request again it will be there. If you'll remove this code, okay, if I not write this particular code, response.redirect, send redirect as index.htm, then okay, it will not move to the index.jsp page. It will be there in the, okay, redirect.jsp page also. If you see that, okay, this is.
But are we writing code for this, sir?
For what?
For index.htm?
No, that is what index.htm. For that, okay, we are not writing the code. This is only to tell that, okay, if any property key with the index.htm comes, okay, please go to the index.jsp page. Okay, so it has told the URL pattern is index.htm, but index.htm there is no file. Am I clear to you?
So can I change this index.htm with some other name?
If you are writing index dot, maybe I am saying that, okay, say index dot, say xyz if you have written. So in that case, you need to also change in the dispatcher dot, okay, dispatcher hyphen servlet dot xml file. There you need to say that if the property key comes with index dot xyz, then it has to go to the indexer control. In the indexer control, it has to be, okay, suffix with index dot jsp page and can be, okay, prefix with wherever the file it is there, the path of the page. It is WebINF it is there, that's why I've written the WebINF, but any particular path also you can be specified that.
Okay.
Okay. See, this is spring redirect dot JSP page. Now you'll say that, okay, this particular page will not, okay, move to the, okay, index.jsp page because I have not written there the response.send redirect. It will just display you the same page. This is, okay, spring redirect.jsp page because I have not written here. Because I have written there, okay, send redirect page, that's why it is going to the your, okay, the other page, that is index.jsp page. Am I clear now, till now?
Okay. Okay, sir. If I want to do any business logic here, means first can I do the business logic, then can I send it, means then can I write this response.send
business
redirect?
logic will not write here. Business logic will not write here.
No,
we are
sorry.
talking about the view.
Maybe, yeah, maybe the presentation, maybe I want to create some, UI kind of things. Can I do that?
You can do that.
Let us say, hi, welcome to this page, and then I'll say I'm redirecting this to the, index.htm, something like that.
Hi, and welcome to this. Okay, then what you will write?
Then I'll say I'm redirecting this page to index.htm. Can I mention like?
You will write. Then
just now you have written, sir.
No,
I'll write response.send redirect.
Now then the page will be there.
It won't redirect.
Why it will redirect? Unless you have to write a response.redirect. So if you write response.redirect, then it will not show that particular page. That, okay, I am redirecting, all these things will not show. Because it will be loaded and it will redirect. No? So if you want to do like that, okay, whatever your imagination, just I am saying, if you want to do like that, then one page you have to keep as that, okay, I am redirecting. Please click on the following link. If you click on that following link, then it will be redirecting to that particular page. So you have to create an hyperlink kind of thing. You get my point now? Otherwise it will not.
I got it. But I didn't understand what is the reason we are redirecting this when we are not writing anything in this particular page.
Now, very good question. That is maybe okay.
We would
That
have
is
directly went.
the objective of writing the code is to first page whichever it has been loaded, that is in redirect.jsp page. Spring says that don't execute any kind of your view page without a controller. You get my point now? Don't execute any page of the view page without a controller. Now if you want to execute a particular controller, what I need to do, I need to write a controller and we have to execute that. Either you write your own controller or you use the Spring based controller you have to use. So that's why whenever you reload, that is response.redirect, then I said index.htm, then it will go to the dispatcher servlet.xml file, which is the front controller, and it goes to the proper URL mapping. It goes to the index controller, and from that it will go to the proper view. So to implement that MVC based application, we are using these all the things actually. So that tomorrow when I am developing a pure MVC based application in my Spring, I should see that every page of my view page should be associated with a controller, and with that controller only it has to go. And if I want to say that why should I go for the controller, I can go from one hyperlink to another hyperlink. I'll click on href this .jsp, then it has to go to that particular JSP. This is what in our mind it will come. But there the answer is that if I'll do that, then if any kind of your security related issues, if I want to take or if I want to write that one, I cannot write within the view, because view component is not meant for writing the security or transactions or any kind of your logging services. It is only the controller where you should write that particular code and all. So that's why. So any particular view page, whenever we are displaying, you should be redirect through the controller only. So to do that, we have used this particular complex process something. Am I clear now?
Okay, sir. Okay,
Any
sir.
questions?
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Sir, can you go to the dispatcher servlet XML?
Dispatcher servlet.xml, right? Because
Yeah,
it will from
yeah.
here it will go to the index.htm. So index.htm with this URL, it will go to the dispatcher servlet.xml file, and in the dispatcher servlet.xml file it will contain this information. You see URL mapping.
So here, sir, first it will go to the bean ID, or it will go to the, what's that one?
Simple URL handler.
What is
mapping.
this two bean, sir?
No, these are bean information which will contain, which will be talking about the one which will be acting as a controller. So this is what you can see that, index controller which is there. So they will be acting as a controller, and view resolver which will act as a view page, that which particular view page it has to be displayed, and one bean which will be acting as a URL mapping, that to which URL map you have to do, that we can be specified. So index.htm, when it will come, first it will come to the URL mapping. In the URL mapping, you will be specifying that what is your key, whether you have executing index.htm or something XYZ, that you need to specify here. So n number of pages, whatever you are creating, you need to create the property key value, index.htm, then this controller it has to go. Say property key, that say master.htm, then it has to go to the master controller. So for each and every view pages to wherever you want to link, you should have the appropriate controller for that.
Okay, sir. Now first it will go to the property key index.htm, and there is a index controller. And next, will it goes to the bean name equal to index controller down?
Correct. Yes.
Or it directly goes to the index.jsp?
Index controller. This will go. Then the parameterized view controller which will be loaded. Then the view name, what it will be? Index. Now when the view it is going to talk about index, so the view resolver which will going to come, the view resolver it is going to resolve that view what it has to be displayed. That is what we will say here. That suffix is .jsp and prefix is nothing but your /webinf/jsp. So this is the
view resolver is just for getting the path, sir.
The page which you are supposed to be executing.
The page where exactly it is there.
Yes. And whatever, because you are coming with a .htm extension, So it will be what extension now?
Oh, okay.
.jsp.
We have to change the extension
That
here.
means, okay, that means, okay, as a user, you feel that, okay, it will be .htm. Okay, but actually internally, it is a .jsp page. So if a hacker will try to access that, okay, with a .htm, he will not find that particular file, because the file actually it is nothing but your .jsp page here. You get my point now?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
And what is the index controller and all? We have got the.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I understood.
So that's the part, okay, how it will be, okay, implement in case of your Spring-based application when you are writing. So you can use this way and how you can execute the Spring-based applications also. So that are the, okay, few things which are, okay, we need to take care about your Spring-based application. The tricky thing in your Spring-based application when you are developing actually, this is only. The URL mapping, there will be index controller, there will be a view resolver. Okay, these few things, okay, which has to be there in your mind every time. Even if you those who knows about the structs and all, when you are implementing also, we used to have that the same kind of things also. There also we used to have mappings which will be there. So these mappings are, okay, because of MVC based application when you are implementing. Index controller, it is nothing but for now, okay, please remember, index controller is just a controller which is a built-in controller already provided, that is called your parameterizable view controller. So this is a controller which is helping us to move to the view resolver. So that is only we are helping, but we are not writing our own controller here. Okay, the built-in controller is helping us to move to a view page. Okay, that's all. But if you want to write your own controller, it can be possible also. Any questions? Can we do now a simple Spring-based application? Any questions now? I want everyone to respond quickly. Yes, we are not using any kind of your application context. Okay, we are not using in this case because application context.xml we will be using if we are using a maybe if I want to do any kind of your database implementation code, if I want to do or anything, then I can go for that. You can say that, okay, bean ID data source, class name is this, data source driver manager dot data source, a driver class is this, URL, username, password. Okay, so these are all the things. If you want to be implemented, then I can use also application context.xml file can be implemented and we can fetch the data from the databases using this bean ID information.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, very nice. Okay, that is what the way how you should think as part of your Spring-based application when you are developing also. So whenever we are developing these all the things, there are this complex process whichever it has been given, like go to a URL mapping, go to the index controller, go to the view resolver, is to implement the security, because so directly anybody cannot reach to the view until unless he will reach to the controller level, and the controller level can check that if any kind of your malicious activity if it is happening, then we can check that and accordingly we can send to the proper view pages and all.
Yes, sir, because we have been doing this, a little bit of this was also being done in structs also. But it is even more complex over here. The reason is the same, I guess, it's the security thing.
Yes, if you remember the struts, that is, I think those who know struts, they use the same thing. There also we have something in the file, struts, this is the name, I'm not remembering now.
There are three steps extra over here are there, which are adding on to the security features, I guess.
So yes, so this is the same, that is why we are implementing it here also. Those who know struts, that file is a similar kind of file here also. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So now, so this is all about your a sample Spring-based application. If I want to develop, how I can develop a Spring-based application, that we have been discussed here. Now we'll be moving down to the next part, that is managing application objects, how we can do, and there are certain features of this that we are going to discuss also. If we want to integrate, we can integrate, but however we are not integrating now. There are struts, okay, but okay, we can integrate also. Now coming back to the next, okay, this is what your chapter 2 which I am talking about, that is managing the application objects here. So how we can manage the application objects in our Spring-based framework application when you are developing. So that's we are going to discuss now. So web application is made up of large number of application components that work together to perform the business logic of an application. And these application is known as application objects that have to be aware of other objects with which it has to work. The web application can be created by using traditional J2E methods we can implement, by which we can create the web application also. But that application is made up of one or more classes, collaborate with each other to implement and require the business logic. And obviously each class will contain its own reference or the dependencies to the other objects that will collaborate with. And this results in tightly coupled architecture. This is what if you remember, okay, the tightly coupled architecture which I want to talk about. So let me give the reason about tightly coupled architecture and loosely coupled architecture also. Yesterday also we have been discussing about the same. So if I have a class called as product class, which is that, okay, in that product, this is an order class which I have, maybe I have an order class. We have a product class, we have maybe a customer class which is there. This is the two different classes which will be there. And in the case of your order class, order class, we have something called as prod. Okay, this is an object which we have created. Okay, so this is the object of the product. Okay, then customer. Okay, we have customer. Okay, is the one object which we are creating. So these objects, okay, which is tightly coupled. This is what we talk about, the tightly coupled architecture which we are implementing. Here you could see that. I have created an order class, we have created a product class, we have created a customer class. And in the order class, because a order will contain a product detail as well as it will contain the customer detail also it will contain. Hence we have created an object of the product class, hence we have created a product class also. So this type of your architecture, if you are implementing, this is called your tightly coupled architecture. This is my tightly coupled architecture. Remember this. Order, okay, so maybe this is what I will have product ID, which will have an integer, okay, product name, which will be string, and maybe the price of the product, okay, this will be again integer or something. Then we have customer ID, which is of string, maybe the customer name, okay, which is of again string. Then, okay, we talk about his address, okay, so maybe this is also a string what it will be containing. So this is the classes which I am talking about, okay, the order is a class we are talking about and which is containing the object of the product ID, object of the customer. So there will be one object of the order, each object of the order are dependent. So now you can say that order class is depend on the product class and the customer class, and this is the some of the disadvantages are nothing but your unit testing. can't be done here. Okay, so this is what one of the disadvantages which we can talk about. They are because of the tightly coupled architecture. So this is a sample, okay, tightly coupled architecture program which we are talking about. The new instances of the product and customer classes are created in order, okay, using the new operator. So we know that, okay, how we can create the product object and all that we have seen. Now this is a sample code or sample implementation about your tightly coupled architecture. But however, in the case of your Spring-based application, we do not require this kind of your applications should not be there. So what you'll do in case of your Spring, okay, so you have, let's say you have order class which is there. We have something called as a product class and customer class which is also there. We'll talk about that. Now we'll not have this kind of your, okay, the object which will be not there. So here we are going to inject, okay, the product at the runtime. Okay, so what time we will do that? Okay, runtime we are going to inject that. Similarly, okay, we are going to inject the customer, okay, class at the runtime also. We will not create any object of this. Okay, order object, order class will not create any kind of your object of product class or the customer class which will be injected at the runtime, okay, which we are going to do. So that will be what we are going to do in the loosely coupled architecture in case of your Spring-based application. We will see that, okay, the order class will contain that particular object at the runtime, from which we will get, okay, the source will be XML file. So in the XML file already that, okay, information what it will be contained here. So that is we are going to do over here. So this is about your loosely, okay, coupled architecture. Okay, loosely coupled architecture which we are talking about. So that is the few things about your, what we can talk about your loosely coupled architecture is all about. So this is the kind of things which we need to talk about, tightly coupled architecture and loosely coupled architecture, how it will happen. So in the case of your tightly coupled architecture, we have order, product and customer. And in the case of your loosely coupled architecture, we have order, product and the customer which is having. But in the case of your order class, we will having the object of product class and the customer class object also which will be containing in this, okay, but it will be injected at the runtime, and the source of this particular file when it will be loaded, that is from the XML based file which will be containing on this. So the application object resides in the Spring container, okay, that is this application object which are like order or maybe product or customer and everything. So that container will enable the application object to collaborate with each other for achieving the required application needs also. So Spring container will contain the various application objects in its container, and we can use this, okay, object and we can implement that. So Spring container is based on the concept of the dependency injection services for managing the application objects. So you do not need to create the objects. You just have to describe as to how the objects will be created and all. So the container creates them automatically whenever they're required. Okay, so this is very, very important. In a case of your Spring, okay, application, we need not to create that particular application. Okay, so automatically these objects will be created at the runtime whenever they are required. And who will create that particular object? The container will create that particular object at the runtime also. And the container also will have the, okay, makes an association between the objects also. And so that, okay, you can write easily the class and we can create the object and we can implement also. So that is the best part in the case of your, Spring framework is all about. Is that clear now what is all about your tightly coupled architecture and loosely coupled architecture? Any questions here? I want everyone to respond. Please respond. Certain, some of you have still not responded. Can you please respond? Unmute your mic.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you please tell your name?
So this is Priya. Hello.
We are from Janakpuri Center, right?
Yes.
Priya,
Sir, exactly what is the purpose of injection? Sorry? Sorry, sir. Hello.
You asked some question.
Sir, what is the exactly purpose of injector?
No, that is what I am saying. No, in case of your injection, that means okay, dependency injection services. What it will do is, we will not create physically the object. Like in order class, we need not to create the physically the object, because if you are creating the physically the object, okay, then it will be tightly coupled. That is order class will be tightly coupled to the product and the customer. Will not do that. Runtime will create the object of the product and customer by using the Spring container, and we can associate that. So that okay, it will be not directly tightly coupled. That is why the injection services which we are using for maintaining the loosely coupled architecture. And this information that this particular product or the customer class which has to be injected, that all information which will be there in the XML based file.
Okay. So there's one more thing actually. Right now I don't have any project. Can you send me?
What project?
Hello.
What project you are talking about?
It's Hibernate and GSF applications which you have used in training.
No, I think are you not there from the beginning?
No, sir. Yes, I'm not there.
But maybe. Can you tell your name, Priya? Please type your name.
PR. Okay.
Please write your name and mobile number and your email ID. Because I have these trainers' number and their mail ID. See, we have already created a group. Okay, the group name is JSFHS and underscore TTP. It is in the nitstaff.com. If you move to the groups, if you type JSFHS underscore TTP is the group name actually. In that, everything has been stored. Can you just go through there? Okay, then you can get it all the files also. You can go to the discussion forum and you can get all the files. Alright?
Okay, thank you, sir.
We will see that. Okay, that is what your AutoWire feature which you are going to be implemented, Pavitra. Here, let us see that. Okay, this is all about how we are using the tightly coupled architecture and loosely coupled architecture, and which is going to inject the product and the customer, and which is an XML based file which you are representing to. Now the Spring framework provides the following types of the container. So what are the different containers? Because as I told you this, that these Spring based files which you have been implementing. So we are using the container type, which is nothing but your Bean Factory container and application context container. These are the two different type of your container. What Spring will be providing to us to define to implement the dependency injection services also. So let us still talk about that actually. So two different the following type of your container, like we have the Bean Factory container, that is a simple container which provides the support for dependency injection services, and this is defined. Please see to this. This is very, very important. As part of our examination is concerned. org.springframework.beans.factory.beanfactory. These are the this is the class okay, which will be supported for implementing the Bean Factory. So that is the few things what we can talk about the Bean Factory is all about. Now coming back to the application context module. What is an application context module is all about? This has been built upon the concept of Bean Factory container only, and this will provide the functionalities like integrating with Spring AOP feature, support of internationalization. That okay, few things will be supported by the application context container, and this application context container is defined in the interface called as org.springframework.context.application context is the interface where it has been defined, the application context container. That is what the two different type of your container which we can talk about. Is that clear now? Any questions? Okay, these are some of the few containers which I am talking about. Fine then. So we'll be moving down to the next part, okay, that is what is the Bean Factory and how we can implement the Bean Factory, that we are going to see also. So we are going to discuss about a Bean Factory. What is the Bean Factory, how to implement the Bean Factory, okay, that we are going to discuss. So Bean Factory, okay, in a Spring, Bean can be of any Java object. So please see to this, okay, so we have seen the Bean container. Now we'll see that okay, Bean Factory and how we can have the Bean Factory in our Spring container. Okay, in that also we are going to see. So in a Spring, Bean can be any Java object or a class instance. So please see that. Okay, please remember that. Okay, it is a simple Java object or a class instance. That means okay, a simple object can act as a Bean in a Spring container. So whatever you are writing, maybe a class called as a student, or maybe a class called as a course, or a maybe that can be a product, maybe that can be an order, or can be a customer account, or anything. This particular classes can act as a Bean in your Spring-based container. The Bean Factory container is used to instantiate, to configure, and manage the objects for the web application. So we'll define the relationship between the different objects and when they are being instantiated also. So if you have any kind of your relationship, it is there, maybe the inheritance based relationship, any kind of your relationship it is there, that also can be defined with using this Bean Factory container. The objects created by the Bean Factory are fully configured, it will be ready to use, and they know that okay, relationship with the other application objects which are there also. So to implement the Bean Factory, we have the package. Please see to this particular packages, because this packages also information it will ask you. That is org.springframework.beans.factory.beanfactory interface, which will be containing that. The Spring Framework will provide several implementation of the Bean Factory, and most commonly factory which you are going to use, that is nothing but your XML Bean Factory interface which you are going to use. Please see to this. We are going to use the Bean Factory, that is nothing but your XML Bean Factory, and using this XML Bean Factory we can retrieve the Bean action. We can use the Bean Factory okay, from that Bean Factory which is we are commonly using, that is XML Bean Factory also. And remember that okay, there are two things we have discussed here. One is that okay, there are container. Okay, the container, it is nothing but your Bean Factory container, and we have application context container. We have Bean Factory and XML Bean Factory are the interfaces which are being provided by which we can load the Bean from this particular Bean Factory, which has already been defined in the XML file, which is we talk about your application context.xml file or NNC. So this is what the Bean already, the information which will be there in the XML file. We'll use this Bean Factory interface, and we can load the Bean from the XML based files also. So this is what a small information which will be there. So by default XML file okay, is also called as Bean configuration file, and the configuration file key for setting up the Spring enabled application. And this is where you'll see a small XML file which you can be implemented. And this Bean configuration file, the Bean configuration file, each Bean is defined using the Bean tag within the Bean tags. bean tag within the bean stack. And this bean definition will contain the creating the bean, detail about the bean life cycle and various dependencies of the bean. And this bean, it will contain like ID, name, class and scope, that it will be contained here. Bean factory, XML bean factory, which we are going to use, okay, when we are writing the code, okay, that is from which particular XML file, what bean we are going to take. That time we can use this. In our JSP file or anything, if I want to load a particular bean file, then we can use this. Is that clear now? In JSP file, we'll write that, okay, which particular bean factory file we need to use, and in that bean factory, we need to specify that, okay, which bean we want to use. Because in a bean factory, in an XML file, we can have many number of beans, but one of the bean we may use, so that we can be specified here. Am I clear? Any questions? Any questions here? If you have any questions, please ask. Okay, once we are clear with this, at least, okay, 2, 3, okay, there is second chapter, then it will be easier for us, okay, to understand the flow of the applications and all, and we can move down to the other part of the your Spring-based application we can easily create. I want everyone to respond quickly. Till now, have you understood, or any questions you can please ask. Please do not keep any of the doubts. If it is not understood, please ask, okay, so that, okay, we can clear it out and then we can move on. Now, bean factory you can think as the main class. Okay, from that, okay, there are different type of factory classes which are there. In that, one of the factory is the XML bean factory. Bean factory you can think as a super type of your class. You can give that as a being, okay, defined. It can be like a singleton type or prototype. We can be specified that, okay, whether it has to be only one bean need to be created, or you can have, okay, multiple instances of that particular bean need to be created. That you can specify, right? Okay, so depending on that. Any questions? All right then. Now this is a bean factory, how it will be looking like. Okay, let us see this. This is a bean factory, how it will look like. We have the different type of your scope attributes which are there, like singleton, and we have the, okay, prototype. These are the two different type of your attributes which we specified, the values which we can be specified for the scope. Singleton, as you know that, okay, we have, if we want to create a single instance for that particular class, that can be your singleton based scope which we can be specified here. Okay. Now you can see. So this is it will be prototype based. Now this is the bean, okay, how we are creating. So within the your application context.xml and all, we can create like this. Okay, we can keep many number of bean. Bean ID is equal to, maybe you can say that, okay, customer or okay, the class is nothing but your com.customer. Like that, okay, we can close the bean also. This is the way how you can create a bean. So you need to have already a class called as Lal Galaxy is a class which has to be there in a package called as Sport. Then only we can create a bean of that. Similarly, I may create a customer class within a com package. So the bean ID, it will be bean ID com, maybe class is equal to com.customer. So like that, okay, you can create a multiple classes, and for that, okay, bean instances can be created, and these bean instances which we can use at the runtime and in our JSP file or in a JSF file which we can use, and we can implement that. So that is the purpose of this particular bean. And in that bean we can write the business logic or anything we can write. So all the bean information, whatever you are creating your own application, that information has to be there in this particular XML file. And now we need to load this particular bean factory file, and from that, okay, any of that instances, if it is required, you can load on that. Is it clear now? Now the next one, it is nothing but, okay, the bean factory. So to instantiate the bean factory, we require, okay, in your web application, we need to load the bean configuration file. And this is done by the resource object. Okay, this is done by the resource object, okay, by which we can load and the configuration file, and we can get the bean. And this resource object of the bean configuration file to load the bean factory beans by reading the bean definition. We can use the different type of your places for this. Either you can use the file system, or else we can use the class path or external URL, or the one, okay, which we can use to get that. For all the beans that we create, will the bean tag be added automatically? No. Automatically it will not add. You need to add that actually. We need to add that particular bean tags in our application context.xml file actually. So there are two attributes which are there, which is simple. That is one, it is singleton, and one, it is nothing but your prototype. These are the two different type of your scope attributes which are there. And okay, this singleton says that, okay, if this bean, if you are using for that particular application, you can have only one instance of that. So that is what we can talk about the singleton. So we can load the bean configuration file from different places, either through the file system we can load, or through the class path, or through the external URL. By any one of these classes we can use the bean configuration file can be loaded. And whenever we are using, so the packages which will be there, that is nothing but org.springframework.core.io.bytearray resource, class path resource, file system resource are the classes which we can use. We can have multiple instances of that PO type. Fine. So this is input stream. We have servlet context resource. We have URL resource. All these are the different type of your resource implementations are there, and we can use this. And to use a resource, okay, particular resource, now you can see how we can write. You can see that, okay, there is a snippet of code which has been given for you. You can implement that. Resource, okay, object is equal to new class path resource, and we have to pass that, okay, particular spring-config.xml file. Because I do not have the spring-config.xml file, we can also use, that is nothing but your application context.xml file also we can use, and we can implement also. That is also can be possible when you are using this resource also. So when you are writing in the JSP code, as a view code when you are writing, so what we need to do is, okay, we need to create a class path resource, and you have to specify here, instead of writing this /spring-config.xml file, you will be specifying that is application context.xml file which you can be writing. Because in our case, we are specifying all that particular bean information in our application context.xml file we are specifying. Hence, we can load from that. And then we have something called as bean factory. Now the bean factory, this is what? Bean factory is equal to new of XML bean factory is the one. As I told you that, okay, new XML bean factory is the subclass and bean factory is the superclass kind of thing. And we can pass that resource object here. The resource object which is pointing to the Spring -config.xml file or application context.xml file which we can contain where all the bean informations are there, that you have to pass here in the XML bean factory object. And from that, okay, from the factory we can get one of the bean and we can execute also. Mute your mic.
Hello.
Please tell.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me now.
Can you explain this slide? Means I'm not getting what is happening. Means up to this is clear. Means we can at this bean factory file.
Okay.
This bean file we can load. Means there are three ways. One using file system, class, and external UR.
Correct. Okay, so that is what.
So
Now,
after that,
one question.
this
One
example.
question.
Yeah.
Shivani, where our bean information which will be stored? Where our bean
It will
information?
be in bean factory.
No.
Bean factory.
No, bean factory is the instance, as a runtime instance, which will hold that particular bean. Okay, that is a runtime instance. But actually, physically, okay, which particular file will contain that information about the bean, like bean ID, bean class, scope, all this information will be there, no XML tag type. That information where
Yeah.
it will contain. Where it will contain.
That XML file.
That XML file name is application context.xml file. Get my point now?
Okay.
In our project,
Yeah.
okay, there will be an application context file will be there, and in that, okay, we'll have the information that all the bean information which will be containing in that. Maybe I am creating 5 bean: customer bean, account bean, say maybe say otherwise employee bean or whatever. Okay, XYZ bean also we may create. Okay, all that particular bean information which will be stored into the application context.xml file which will be containing that. You get my point? Now, in our JSP page, when you talk about in my JSP page, first of all, okay, we need to know that, okay, this is the bean information which is available in my application context.xml file, right? So that is the resource.
Oh, okay, yes.
So resource, what it will do, it will point to that particular file and it will tell that, hello, okay, the bean information is available in this particular file. That time we will say this. Line of code will write.
Okay.
Resource res is equal to new class path resource or file system or external file, whatever that. Okay, you can be using and will be specifying that there, that application context.xml file. It is written here string-config.xml file. Here it has written string-config.xml file, but by assuming that bean information is stored in string-config.xml file. But when I will show that particular demo, I will be storing that in the application context.xml file. Hence, I am telling that, okay, it is application context.xml file. Am I clear to you?
Okay.
Now,
Yes.
once that particular resource object has been created, then using that particular resource object file, we will create the bean factory object. Now we will say bean factory is equal to new of bean XML bean factory. And what is the resource? RES. What that resource it is containing? The XML file where the bean information it is containing. XML file. Is that clear now?
Okay. Okay, sir. Yes. That means as object passing to bean factory.
Yes, correct. Resource object will be passed to the bean factory, XML bean factory.
Okay, sir, means any number of we can pass, right? If we creating multiple beans.
Multiple beans, when
Any
you are
number of
creating
checks we can-
all that particular bean information which will be stored in that particular XML file only. And then
That
from the
only.
bean factory, we will tell that, okay, ID name, whichever the bean we require, we can get.
Oh.
This is a factory. Now from the factory,
Mm-hmm.
which bean we want, we can get.
No.
I may have
Runtime
5
bean only we can Okay. Okay.
Runtime.
Yes.
This is runtime.
Yes.
Get my point?
Yes, sir.
At the runtime.
Yeah.
I don't know that, okay, what bean it
Yeah.
has been stored. Okay, so that is why it is loose coupling or tight coupling.
Okay. That is loose coupling only. Yeah.
Loose coupling. Because, okay, runtime we are getting that particular bean value.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Last path resource I can use, file system or anything we can use. Doesn't matter, Pavitra. Now we'll see that. Okay, next we will be moving down. So we have, as I told you that, okay, bean factory, the different type of your scope which can be stored. Okay, that is nothing but we have singleton, and we have also stored, that is nothing but your prototype type of your scopes. These are the two different type of your scope which can be stored into that. So this is, till now, is it clear, or any doubts? If it is there, you can ask. Now singleton, what it says now. Okay, we'll talk about the singleton. We'll talk about now the prototype also. Singleton says that, okay, a shared instance of the bean to a particular name, as I told you, that, okay, a particular bean will be created. It will be shared to all the particular application. So we'll not create a multiple beans here. Whereas in the case of your prototype, it provides a single instance of the bean, but guarantees that, okay, the user request will be result in the creation of the independent bean of the single user only. For a particular user, one independent bean it will be gets, okay, created for that. So that is called your prototype of your bean. So that is what exactly we can talk about this bean is all about. So singleton is a single instance, whereas prototype is basically one instance for a single user. Then after that, okay, we have to instantiate that bean. You can see that. This is the code which we need to write, okay, for getting that particular bean object. Now I can write the customer, okay, then factory is nothing but your bean factory object. Dot get bean is the method where you have to pass the bean ID. If you remember that, okay, in case of our example, in our slide example, yes, it has written bean ID is equal to Beckham, class is equal to sports.legacy, okay, Lay Galaxy. So that's why it is creating the object of the Lay Galaxy object is equal to factory.getBean, then Beckham is the ID which we are passing. So this particular object which we have created at the runtime, we have done this. And based on the XML based file. Okay, that is we have not done. So that time, okay, we are getting a loose coupling type of your implementation. Is it clear now? Any questions? I want everyone to respond. Any questions? No. That is what I said. That's what we said. You will not have spring-config.xml file in our case. In our case, I can use your application context.xml file which I am going to use. Alright? From Rosary Garden. Video is struck. Singleton, and that is how the, okay, every bean we can create the scope with that, but depends on your usage. You can use either singleton or a prototype. If your resource is single and you want to use it, okay, in multiple usage, okay, then we can go for your singleton usage. Now this is what, okay, so fine, we'll take a small break here and we'll come back, okay, after 15 minutes, and we'll discuss about the life cycle of the bean and what are the different steps which you need to be followed for life cycle of the bean, that we are going to discuss, and then we'll be moving down to the different other features of the bean and how to create it we are going to discuss also. Alright, any questions now? Fine, so let's take a break of 15 minutes and come back and we'll have the discussion.